Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David, and I'm your host. Today, I have with me special guests. First, let me introduce my co-host, Narada Wilson. Welcome to the set, Narada.
Always a pleasure to be here, Steve.
Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Always.
And yes, he is here. Viewers, I know we wanted the president of Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, and he's here. And I've got David John Williams on the set.
Good evening, Narada. Good evening to your viewing audience. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. We had couple times we asked you to come, and we appreciate you picking up the mantle and coming to the set.
I'm always willing to share my time when it comes to football. As I always tell people, if it needs picking up people on the floor for football, I'll do that.
You do that. David, let me start by saying, letting my viewers know your background in football. Football or football management or whatever.
I like to give my football background from early childhood.
Okay.
I grew up in a small village called Point Cuckoo, which is probably close to Cedrus and between Point Forte. I went to my early childhood. I went to Miss Yule's private school in Mahaica, and from there, I went to Point Forte Intermediate RSC, my primary school, which is literally 3 or 4 minutes from Mahaica Oval. And then I attended Naparima College in San Fernando. But I distinctly remember my first interaction with football really was at Mahaica Oval. And I'm not ashamed to say that I grew up seeing the likes of Steve David, Warren Archibald, Monty Douglas, Tony Douglas, Salim, as we know, the Brewster brothers, Warren Archibald, Leroy Dillion at Mahaica Oval. And when regiment used to come to Point Forte and Maple used to come to Point Forte, Mahaica Oval was full.
Right.
And I distinctly remember paying 10 cents to go into Mahaica Oval. And there was some rivalries in those days whether Cave is going to score today, and there's bets that Cave bound to score.
Right.
And so that left an indelible mark in my career and the love for the game. So I say that Point Forte did prepare me well. You know, I distinctly remember the Morins and the Sidney Augustine, the Pushers, the Steve Kahn coming to Mahaica Oval. Young boy coming out of college then, Luciana Woodley, and I'm not making a racist remark. They used to say, let me see what the white boy have today in Point Forte. I mean, those were the sentiments among the crowd. And I remember people like Cass Brown sitting down with his big self in front of the gate in Mahaica Oval. So those things left an indelible mark, and that was my background, early childhood days. I went to Naparima College, as I said. Never represented Naparima College at any high level of football, played junior intercol. Always loved the sport. My first love was cricket. Played cricket for Point Forte Civic Center. I ran for Point Forte Civic Center as well. And obviously, I did have a passion for sports in general. And W Connection Sports Club was formed, and it was a FET match team.
Right.
But we were really the professional FET match team, so to speak. Good uniforms, well organized, club constitution, and everything that was associated with a good football club, so to speak.
Right.
And people asked us why we will never play association football. And as president at the time, I said we will never play association football until there was a professional league. In 1999, professional league was formed, W Connection FC was formed, the rest is history. Here am I today.
And so then you got the passion after W Connection. I need to go a little further with this. Obviously,
to be quite honest, Steve, and to my viewing audience, I never had the ambition to run for office for TTFA president.
Okay.
And I swear in my life, I refused the job 4 times. People came to me asking me to run, that I could make a difference, and I never really wanted any part of the TTFA. I was really happy in what I was doing, and I said I would make my contribution from the outside. And the final time they came to me, I just gave in. Just gave in.
What changed your mind?
I mean, it's just, sometimes it just hit you, look.
Right.
David, they really want you to do it. Let's do it. I distinctly remember The first time they came to me, I went and consulted my family. My son at the time was just about 12 years old. And I asked him, son, you know, what do you think about me running for office of president of the TTFA? And he said, I'll think about it, you know. And the next morning he came to me and he said, Daddy, why you want to be president at TTFA for 4 years and take all that trouble when you could be president for W Connection for life? And that struck me as a 12-year-old son talking to his father. And my wife at the time said, you know, she's going to support me, whatever decision that I want to make, but you know you're going into trouble. Everybody's going to be talking. And so at that time I refused it. And when they came back to me, I just gave in. And as I said, the rest is history.
Right.
Do you think at the point in time, this second or third time around, do you think you were better prepared, seeing that you had already established W Connection as a force? You've been able to manage a club for over 15 years. Do you think as an adult, as a person, as a business administrator, as a football administrator, that you think all the puzzles were at the right place at the point in time?
Truth be told, yes, and I will tell you why. When I do something, whether it's for W Connection, whether it's for TTFA, whether it's for the TT Pro League, I put my heart and soul into it. You know, I give 100%. I am drunk with it. And that's what a lot of people don't know about me. I work long hours. If I give my heart to something, that's me. And before we got into office, we wrote a strategic plan, right? A roadmap for Trinidad and Tobago football. It's the first time it has ever happened in Trinidad and Tobago football. It was published online. It's still available for people to see what this administration is doing. Are we following our roadmap? Are we achieving our objectives? And we did that. And I for one, and I'll tell you a secret tonight, that I was president and chief executive officer of W Connection, one of the shareholders, major shareholders, along with my brother. And we do, at the time, and still have an independent chairman who has nothing to do with W Connection other than being the chairman. And if my chairman says X, we're going with it. I could have told my chairman where the hell to get off. And again, I don't blow my trumpet, but those are the simple things that has helped me along. And despite all the distractions and all the criticisms, I remain focused. I can sleep well at night, and let's do the job of improving Trinidad and Tobago football.
But it sounds as you go a step further, then you look ahead to, hey, what else can I do? And I say that because you wanted you wanted to run for CFU, right?
You're quite correct. Never an ambition again, but people encouraged me. People encouraged me, and people felt that I had what it takes to be a CFU president. And people really, really encouraged me. It's not something that I wanted to do. And my wife will probably curse me for saying this, is that while she supported me, she's happy that I did not win the election, because she felt she would have lost me. And when I mean lost me, in the sense that, you know, I'm so much into the football, to take on another task, going up the region, it would have been difficult. And she was happy from that standpoint, that I did not win, although she was supporting me. And I ran for CFU president. I have no regrets.
Well, I'm happy too, because I figure, and I said this on this show, I think, you can't serve two masters, and serving TFA and serving CFU at the same time. I feel it's not only a conflict of interest, I feel it was a very tough thing to do.
Yes, I would agree. But I have a very good work ethic about me. I felt that if you surround yourself with good people, good, trustworthy, hardworking, dedicated people that share in your vision, I think it could work. A lot of people felt that me running for CFU president, it had a lot more to do than me just running for CFU president. I had a vision for a Caribbean Professional League at the time, which I was working on since 2011, that I gave President Derek, and everybody turned it into a political football. When, you know, we were getting CONCACAF, FIFA and UEFA to support a Caribbean Professional League, everybody turned it into a political football. So that it was more than beyond just becoming a CFU president or running for office. You don't get paid for it. Anyway, you know, and it was not something for power. I've learned one thing from our current prime minister. I have no love for office. As simple as that.
David, so the people you have on staff now, do you feel like they're the best people that you can find?
Steve, to be quite honest, we inherited a TTFA that is broken. Not only broken financially, but the moral of the staff wasn't good. The whole organization, the structures were not good. And that didn't just happen overnight. That happened over a number of years. And it is our challenge now to improve that. Obviously, we have done some human resource work and studies with Deloitte coming into the organization, analyzing the staff, analyzing what is needed to be done, who are our key people. And we are now in the process of reorganizing the organization. We have been in office 17 months now. And the first year we used to settle along the organization and try and take it off life support. You know, I keep saying when we got into the TTFA, we were in intensive care. Now we're probably out of the high dependency ward and on the normal ward, you know, breathing life, breathing a little better. One thing I can fault my administration for right now is the fact that we don't put out our achievements. We just go about our business. And probably sometimes you will criticize the organization because you don't know. But again, this is not about David John Williams, it's about Trinidad and Tobago football, because if I fail, we all fail.
Yeah, you know, he's right about that, because, I mean, I had said off camera, obviously, to the guys, hey, I mean, they all defended you. I can't say what they said, but they all defended you. That's my panel.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let the people know. And then that's where it came up. Let's bring him on.
I think if I have to interject there, I think administrations in the 21st century need to accept that the information has to come out from the right place, because information is so easily accessible today that you find it's always an anonymous tip. Somebody's going to get the information out within a couple minutes of a decision being made. And I think sometimes the administration needs to take front in coming out to avoid
and I appreciate that.
And
I appreciate that. And I want to share with your viewing audience and share with you tonight why sometimes I take a deliberate approach to how we do things. Okay. For example, there are a lot of things that are happening within the TTFA that are negative, that we inherited. You understand? We have to bring back public confidence into the TTFA. We have to bring back corporate support into the TTFA, which has been waning for long. There are things that have happened, there are things that we inherited that we could go public about. But you know, we refuse to, because it's not needed to be bringing to be a political football. You know, it is football first and anything else after. You understand? Again, it's very difficult for an administration, because a lot of people will judge the success of my tenure and my team's tenure probably on the football pitch, when there are a lot of other things that you can judge results by. Okay, for the first time in 9 years, we produced audited financial statements. It was published in all 3 daily newspapers, and it's available online. That hasn't happened in 9 years. We had to bring back financial confidence. Having done that, NLC came on board, gave the TTFA $8 million for a national elite development program. When last did we see something like that in football? This is not blowing a trumpet, but this is about us now to get together and say, how could we make it work? You know, how can we improve the lives of our young people? How we can improve the stock of football in our country for future national teams? And what I'm saying to you, I'm not against criticism, right? Don't tell untruths about me. And that's my position. Because criticism, you listen to every opinion and every criticism, and there should be something good in that criticism. You know, I didn't see that. So that's why I watch all the programs. You understand? I have no beef with Steve David. I have no beef with Narada. But I will tell you plain. I will tell you plain. But that does not mean that I don't have a friendship. You know, I remember the Point Forte Borough honored me when I became president. And they were amazed to know my background in Point Forte, that I could talk about so many footballers in Point Forte. I could talk about the Steve David, the Armin David, the Bede Archibalds, the Winty Hackett, the Furlongs. I could tell you, I may be able to tell you more names than Steve, if you understand, because Steve wasn't here for a time. I could tell you Steve's exploits in the NASL. I could tell you all these things because it interests me, because I want to know, because football is part of me. And it's important that when I carry on football conversation, I know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know your history, then you don't know where you're going.
Let me give you a chance now, David, too, because we have made a lot of comments, and obviously is what we hear from wherever we hear it from. So let me give you a chance now to point out any comments that we made that's untrue, because I don't want to say untrue thing to you.
I think I was unfairly treated with the dismissal of Stephen Hart. I think people didn't see the football in background. I go on record that Stephen Hart has done well for Trinidad and Tobago football, but if you realize that we were on a downward curve, right? I do things very rationally, and I don't do things as an individual. I do things with a team. So I want to answer your question by this. Yeah. If the team not playing good, is the president.
That's not
if true. No. Okay. That's the Caribbean perspective.
Okay.
I'm telling you the Caribbean perspective. If the team not playing good, is the president. If money missing, is the president. If the crowd get difficulty to get into the stadium, is the president, right? If the players ain't get play, is the president. That is perception in the Caribbean. So again, I go back to the Stephen Hart situation. Not many people realized that we only won one game at home under Coach Hart. We only won one game, and that was against St. Vincent. We couldn't beat the USA. We couldn't beat Nicaragua. You understand what I mean? And this is not being critical of Stephen Hart. It's just about trying to make the best of a situation, and people don't realize those things. So the board and the technical committee had to take a conscious decision, right? And we met with Stephen Hart and said, listen, best we part ways. You know Trinidadian. He fired the man. You know, I came in on a cloud of, before I even was elected to office, Steve, they say I'm going to bring Stuart Charles Favre.
I heard that.
Why? Mm-hmm. He's a long-standing coach of W Connection for 18 years. Never my intention. When we bought Russell Latapy, boy, Russell Latapy is the man to come and take Stephen Hart's job. Nothing's food in for the truth. We live in a society where social media, propaganda, and wrong is what makes the news. Let me give you an example. If the 2 times table was a very difficult thing to do, and I say 2 1s are 3, 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 8, 2 5s are 10, 2 6s are 12. You know what you're going to notice, right? I said 2 1s are 3. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't congratulate me for getting all the others correct. But you want to kill me for
missing that 2 1s are 3.
2 1s are 2, 2 1s are 3. And that's the society we live in. But I've grown to accept that. Mm-hmm. You understand? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying Jesus Christ was crucified. He wasn't perfect. You understand? So I know the next question you will ask me, Thompson feet. Right? I know that. That's the next one. No, you might ask, because that's the society we live in. So Thompson feet. Fine. Stephen Hart was parted ways. Technical committee recommended Thompson feet. I go on record. The discussion and negotiation I had as directed by my technical committee is that if we do get 6 points or 3 or 4 points, our campaign is over. And that was part of the discussion I had with Thompson feet. People crucify me for putting that in the public domain. I make no apologies for saying it, because that is how football is, a brutal sport. But you know what? Thompson feet had qualifiers for the Gold Cup. He would have been the best thing since sliced bread.
True.
It would have been a master stroke. You understand? You know, I learned something quite recently from President Infantino, and he summed it up the best way. You're in the 90th minute. Steve David is the coach. A win will get us to the World Cup. David John Williams playing. No, forget Steve David. Steve David is the player. Stephen Hart is the coach. In the 90th minute, Steve David hits the post. Team loses the game. We don't go to the World Cup. The whole country is despondent. Steve is a shitong. The coach, where they get a coach from? John Williams put hard day. The coach ain't good. Rewind the tape. 90th minute. Steve David dribbles two men, hits the post. The ball bounces off the back of the keeper, goes in the back of the net. We qualify for the World Cup. Steve David is a genius. Coach Hart, superb. David John Williams, excellent choice. They were criticizing him for nothing. He always had that belief. That's the nature of the beast, Steve, and I accept that. And so I am not against criticism and all that stuff like that.
We had to take a break now, David, but when we come back, I want to pick up on Hart and moving forward. We'll be right back after this.
And it is not something that happened overnight, Steve, and the public needs to understand that. And I am not here to say all the ills that happened because I'm not in that business.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Welcome back, viewers. I have with me David John Williams, President of Trinidad and Tobago Football Association. David, before the break, I told you I want to pick up from Hart because Hart came and met a real broke down wagon in a team, and I thought he molded. That's my personal. I thought he molded something to respectable that something that we felt proud about. And then when you became president, whatever it came over as you were part of this, but maybe not. But when you became president, Hart was gone after doing such good work.
I want to answer your question. Hart was probably left when maybe after 12 months in charge or whatever.
Right.
I think the public put Stephen Hart under a lot of pressure upon me being elected into office because everybody thought he's automatically gone.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been political suicide if when I came into office, I got rid of Stephen Hart because we were here. And truth be told, we just started to go on a downward curve. The first particular game, after 1 month in charge, we lost an important game, the Copa Centenario qualifiers against Haiti. That would have benefited TTFA just for qualifying $1 million. But more than that, we were going to be playing on a world stage. It's like a mini World Cup because you had probably 8 teams in the top 20 in the world. Argentina.
I understand.
You understand what I mean? And I think that triggered a downward spiral. And if you look in perspective, we got 8 points from our last 5 World Cup qualifying games in the semi-final round.
Right.
Guatemala got 10. The difference was the 3 points we got in Guatemala. So we were just on a downward spiral, and we had to do something.
And we also had some of the incidents.
And then we had a lot of incidents. And it is not something that happened overnight, Steve, and the public needs to understand that. And I am not here to say all the ills that happen because I'm not in that business. I am about the business of getting the football forward. And I think that at the end of the day, as president of the organization, you got to take the whipping for the organization to go forward. And I have learned that. So going forward, we now have Dennis Lawrence. I like to make the statement, his head took us to our first World Cup, and I believe he has the head to take us to another World Cup. Difficult as it is, we are still in with a chance. But it's important from my own personal perspective to rebuild the stock of Trinidad and Tobago football. And by that I mean we need our next set of World Cup qualifiers should come from the 13-year-olds, where we could consistently qualify for under 17, under 20, Olympics, and future World Cups. The truth be told is that as a small footballing nation, we see ourselves as a big player, but we are a country of 1.3 million people, and we are punching above our weight class, but we're doing well. But what we're lacking in Trinidad and Tobago football is structure and organization, and that is what my administration intends to do. If we could put structure back into the football organization, bring back the zonal competitions, get the young kids involved, get structure, coach education, I think we are going onto a good thing.
And that's what we keep saying all the time. But what do we have? What do we have, or who do we have to make that happen? Because when you came on as well, what's his name? Our technical director.
The president?
Toombs? Where's Toombs?
Kendall Walks?
Kendall Walks.
I mean,
went back into.
Again, I don't want to talk about the Kendall Walks situation. I'll say one thing about it, though.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about it, is that the arrangement with Kendall Walks was beyond the affordability of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association.
Okay.
And I leave it as that. Yeah. It is something that is being dealt with, and I will talk about that more in future. Maybe when I'm writing my memoirs, people will understand the truth. I am satisfied in my own mind that the TTFA did the right thing in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago football. That's as much as I will say. So coming back, I like to use the position of Iceland. Small nation, 600,000 people. There are 400 coaches, 200 of which is UEFA B license or better. So in this country, everybody likes football. The average young kid will first gravitate to football than any other sport that we have. A lot of people take advantage of that, and they're opening football schools left, right, and center. But we do have the qualified coaches to do that. So one of the messages that we were sending as an administration, that all academies must be registered and staffed with qualified people, because it's down there you develop the bad habits or the good habits.
Right.
And I know within the next 2 years, as a president and as an administration, we will get a lot of flack from people because we will seem to be interfering with people's livelihood. For example, I can tell you that to coach in the Pro League, if you do have a UEFA A license or equivalent, you can't coach in the Pro League. For example, on National Elite Program, the person who has to head both the boys and girls must have the equivalent of a UEFA A license or better. Those are the things that we want to introduce. Now, they will seem harsh measures, but those are the things that has to be introduced to improve the game. You understand? A lot of kids come to senior players with bad habits. In your days and in the younger days, you hoard your skills by playing on rough fields, playing among older folks and all that stuff like that. And that hardly happens today. And now that the world has changed, the football has changed. When you played football, I grew up learning 4-2-4. What was 3-5-2? What was 4-5-1?
Right.
What was 3-6-1? We never dreamed of those things in those days. So the game has now moved away from the individual brilliance to a more collective game, you know. And you often wonder, somebody like you, how would you have fared? You were a talented player. You were a very good player. You ever thought how you would have fared playing a lone striker or playing 3 men up front? The thing is that the football has become more collective and different. It has become a passing game. It has become a team game. It has become a game that results is what matters. If you don't get a result, you get fired. So things have changed, and we have to change with the time. Unfortunately, the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association has been slow in doing that. And we have to correct that. Under my tenure, I'm not sure that we'll be able to achieve everything, but we have to take baby steps to get it there. Whoever succeeds me, I will appreciate that they continue to put football first and everything else after.
And that's the point, though. It seems as though we keep reinventing the wheel every time we change a president.
Well, and I totally agree with you. I listened to part of your program, and Narada made a comment that we're hearing about the home of football for the longest while. And you made a comment why we keep reinventing the wheel. I could guarantee you the home of football will be built. Right? You could take that to the bank and sell it to them. The home of football will be built. Because if you don't have a home, you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, correct.
And what people fail to understand is that the women's team training in Manny Stadium, the men's team training in Arima, the under 15 squatting to go on by Caroni Ground and train, and we all over the place. We have to get a home, right? And if you notice in world football, every top club in the first 3 divisions in those countries, they have a home where they train, where people will turn up, where kids will watch the bigger ones train, and they want to aspire to move from this training field to that training field. So there's motivation, there's everything now with football. So we must have a home. Unfortunately, we have been pushing the government to get a home. People ask, it was Manny Ramjan Stadium. We were going to build Manny Ramjan Stadium, we were getting land. I agreed with that, but I say no. We have stadium underutilized. I went to the government.
Right.
Why start from scratch when we had the facilities there? So you got to sell the idea, and they bought into it. So now they are giving us the opportunity to work with them and the Arthur Bolden Stadium. FIFA now is allowing us our funding to put money into football because we have now met the criteria. Our finances are back in order, and we move forward. We are not perfect, but baby steps and we will get there. And the first thing I think was very important is establishing a home for football. And now that we are doing that, I am sure that the football is going to improve.
On your manifesto, and who I had here, Keith LeCloy. Keith says that, and he was one of the guys was hoping that when you bring the stakeholders together, which is part of the manifesto, he said it hasn't been done. And why hasn't it been done? Did it?
I wish after this program you interview Keith LeCloy.
Okay.
Because there have been a lot of things that have been expounded in the media about the TTFAs against the Super League. We had a meeting with the Super League a couple of days ago, all the clubs, and it was cordial, it was fantastic, and so you should interview Keith LeCloy. Day before yesterday, we had an audience with the zones, getting them involved in what we want to do within the National Elite program. And so we're doing our things very quietly. He who moves quietest moves the furthest. But you will see things happen. And a lot of people want to know when this all happened. I'll give you a sneak insight of what we do in the National Elite program. So what the TTFA did is that in the under-13 professional league, we selected about 15 scouts to scout games. So no one scout was going to watch police play defense force. So today, Steve David will watch police play defense force, Narada will watch Chablote play Point Forte Civic. And the coach had watched defense force go and watch thing. So we ended up with a good scouting so that people understand there's just not one man watching.
Correct.
So we ended up with a pool, we ended up with about 55 names, right? So a lot of names were recurring, so we were able to get 55 names. We then subsequently went now to the Republic Bank tournament, which is zonal again. So we are now scouting that to get another set of youths, which will form the pool of the National Elite program. But we're moving beyond that. So we went to the zones and said, listen, within your zones, we are now going to appoint the coaches that are suitably qualified, and you need to select your 25 best in your zones. And now we're going to have a 3-month competition starting in September, October, November, North versus South, East versus under 13. Understand? Where we're going to pay all the coaches and all that stuff like that. And we'll have a Monday night competition for boys and a Wednesday night competition for girls, starting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 hour games. We are talking to Flo in terms of putting the games on television, bringing back. We are going to give the zones 2 maxis, one for the players, one for supporters, and it's going to be at one venue, and it's going to be Monday night.
Fine, like
right?
The president heard me speak last week.
No, no, we move very quietly.
Yes,
It's going to be Monday night. So we hope to have the Atobilan Stadium full. So when you come there, at 5 o'clock, first game. 6:15, second game. 7:15, third game. Tobago, we're going twice to Tobago, and we're going to bring back that into football. When we develop that zonal structure and that strength, we're going to move it to under 15 as well, and then to under 17. We plan this year as well to bring back the zonal competition at senior level, and that's why we met with the zones last week to tell them that they need to prepare a team to our season-ending zonal competition with the seniors. And the players in the Pro League will not be allowed to play for their zones. We want to get the raw talent and people who have not been given that opportunity to express themselves on a competitive stage and get back that belief. That's one of the things that we're doing. Our FA Trophy competition this year, we are putting $750,000 in prize money. We started with 64 teams. Every team that wins will get a cash prize money going all the way down. The semi-finals are going to play at one venue at the Home for Football, so that right, and then the ultimate final. So we're trying to do things a lot differently. In the Home of Football, we have also decided that we'll put the Pro League there as well. We'll put the Super League there as well. They will operate independently, but they will be under the umbrella so that we now manage resources. What is the need for the Super League to go and rent an office and pay $6,000, what we do have, when they could occupy something in the Home of Football? What's the need to have 3 boardrooms? One TTFA boardroom can work for the Pro League, can work for the Super League, because we're not having board meeting the same day. So these are some of the synergies that we're trying to do, and let the people talk. I am happy, man.
We had to take a break now, but when we come back, there's a lot more we have to talk about. And I like what I'm hearing. So we would kind of open it up for you to send your people or whoever you want, if you want, to come on the show and say what you guys do so the viewers can hear about it.
Most certainly.
All right, viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
We want to talk about the women's program, which is very important. I heard Steve question, we are paying women to train. When you look at the women's football now and you compare it to men's football, they are way behind. But a lot of people don't realize that.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. David, before the break, like I was saying, there is so much that I've heard in 30 minutes that you guys are doing that it's not out there and nobody knows. So we obviously will criticize and say, well, they come into office, they had a train that was moving uphill and now it's stagnant. Right? So I mean, I'm opening it up that we would like to see your butt coaches on this program. I'm going to take you up and bring Keith Lucloy. After this show, the next week, I'm going to bring Keith Lucloy on. And so we can talk about the Super League.
Yeah. Steve, I will tell you this, when I decided to run for office, one of the first persons I asked to be my vice president was Keith Lucloy.
Okay.
Right? And Keith Lucloy declined. And Keith Lucloy said if the TTFA was offering him a job in the kitchen, he doesn't want it. But I feel Keith Lucloy is one of our better technical administrators that is available to us. Why can't we work together? I talk very plain, and if Keith Lucloy is watching the program, he will know that I'm talking the truth. And that's me. I'm as open as a book. because I believe that he's one of our better technical administrators. But there's some things that sometimes probably keeps him back. You know, as I said earlier in the program, we had a very cordial meeting, and I see the football going forward. You know, I'm a person, and the administration I had, I will preach that don't hold people on your chest. Because in life, there are people who are for you, there are people who are against you, or there are people who have a difference of opinion. And you have to respect people's difference of opinion. As an administration, we want to be judged by what we have done, and you're quite correct, we probably don't blow our trumpet more, and we'll take the opportunity now to come more on your program to let the people know what is happening. I think this year 2 into year 3 is about delivery, right? Year 1, we took time to settle down. We took time to regain the confidence of FIFA, the confidence of CONCACAF, and of course the confidence of the people, and of course sponsors. I think now is really settling down and buttoning down the organization to do things and do delivery of things and improve the football.
Could I just want to interject to touch on 3 affiliates of the TTFA. There's also a futsal program, there's a beach football program, and there's also the women's program. So if you could touch on some of the developments that may come in the short term, or what you're working on in the background.
One of the biggest drawbacks as an association and football generally in Trinidad is lack of facilities.
Okay.
And when I mean facilities, I am talking about facilities to encourage young people. We have a lot of lights all over the place, but you watch the surface, it is poor and not maintained. We at the TTFA need to make some representation that the community feels are available and in decent condition. We want to talk about the women's program, which is very important. I heard Steve question, you know, we are paying women to train. When you look at the women's football now and you compare it to men's football, they are way, way behind. But a lot of people don't realize that half the population in the world are women. So women's football is going to be bigger than men's football in 20 years. Because you know when women supporting something, they're behind it. FIFA has taken a conscious decision to put a lot of money into women's football. So what we did as a TTFA, our one CONCACAF money, which we are getting for 2016 and 2017, which is $125,000 US, we have allocated that to the women's program. We have allocated 30% of our FAP money, forward program money, into the women's game so that the women can get a chance, because they do have an opportunity to get paid like the men in clubs and all that stuff like that. So we have to be different. We have to support them. I mean, they were on the verge of qualifying to a World Cup, and the program fell flat. And there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of hurt, and a lot of mistrust among the women fraternity. And we are trying to build back that trust, because a lot of them say, but we never get paid, you know, we were treated like bastards and all that stuff like that. So the rationale was bringing Carolina Marache, high-profile FIFA ambassador, well-respected person in the program, to give them some belief,
that
right?
The administration is
put them under contract that they can train every day, try and get friendly internationals, at least 6, 7 for the year, so that they are better prepared. We are on a project 2019 in France, so that you give them an opportunity. So it's all about giving them that belief. All about treating them equally and saying that you are one of us and we're going to treat you the same way. Futsal, beach soccer, again, that is a big growing aspect of football worldwide, especially beach soccer. Beach soccer to me is the T20 of football, because you get all the acrobatics and so on. I wonder how people like Steve and Warren would have feared in beach soccer if you had beach soccer. You know, because that's where all the trickery comes in and the skill and all that stuff like that. And again, it's a fast-paced game. It doesn't take much to have a beach soccer court. Small, action-packed. It's an area that we have paid a lot of attention to. We put a lot of effort into them going to the beach soccer qualifiers this year, and they could testify that it's the first time they got such preparation. But again, we do have the amount of finances to sustain a league. We are talking to futsal right now, because again, futsal is basically small goal. And you know, everybody like a small goal. And we have the talent to do it. And I don't see why Trinidad should not be a real powerhouse in futsal because of our natural talent and skill, which we hold in the parks and on the roads and on the streets and so on. So we had to pay a lot of attention to futsal, but again, we do have the facilities. you look at the indoor facilities that we have, some of the courts
I think
are
none
not,
of them are the dimension.
are not
full
at the dimension.
Correct.
So again, we have a problem. So we have some of the facilities, but we don't have the dimension. So again, it's not knocking government or knocking everybody. We have to have a more holistic approach with all the NGOs and the sporting bodies to see what we really want. You understand? And it's something that we have inherited, but we have to try to fix. We are going through difficult time financially. We're going through difficult time socially. And the only people who can fix us is you and I.
Don't you think, though, and with the woman program I'm talking about, because I have a problem with that, because if we pay 9 people and not the others, eventually the others will have a problem with that. Or somebody who is making a quick upward turn, like somebody who was never a regular becomes a regular or becomes very good.
Let me answer your question.
Okay.
Again, lack of information. We have 4 tiers. We have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4.
Okay, explain that.
Right?
Yeah.
So the tier 1 is the lowest,
Mm-hmm.
tier 4 is the highest. So right now we have contracted 11 players in the range of tier 1 to tier 4.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the women who represents our senior national team is abroad in university.
Right.
So we have to present an opportunity for them to come back home and establish. That's what we're working on. So it's just not playing 9 players. We want to contract 25 players so that they can understand. We are now in the process of contracting the good under 20 players for the women's program that we can see transition to the senior team. So just yesterday or Friday, we were talking to Carolina Morache to contract 3 young under 20 players in tier 4, the lowest tier, and monitor their progress to come up. So again, lack of information.
Could I interject with one suggestion that I thought about, and I brought it up on the program a couple of times? Wouldn't it have been an interest to the federation, or the association, sorry?
Federation is a bad word.
Yeah, association, if these said players could have been at foreign teams or clubs with the association making a contribution?
Yes, of
because
course.
Of the fact that
of course. But again, we don't have much time to 2019.
Fair
and
enough.
It's always good enough for coaches to see the players every single day and work on a plan. It's like the strike squad in 1990. We're trying to create that bond and develop that camaraderie, or like the team in 72. One of the strengths of those teams was the camaraderie and the friendship and being together for some time. And that made a difference. Nowadays, you have 5 days before.
Correct.
Right? And we don't have the resources of the USA. We don't have the numbers as the USA. We don't have the leagues of the USA that will develop these players. So we have to be very innovative. And I take a point. But in counteracting that, it's better that we keep them at home, put them in that environment, and get the friendly internationals for them to play in.
Fair enough.
Well, David, my panel that I have, they beat me up all the time because I'm saying, well, David ain't doing this, he doing this, he doing this. So they defended you. So you have people on your side. But I am happy that you came today, because now my viewers and the public especially is who need to know
Steve,
all these things.
Steve, I'm glad that I came, but I want to send a message to all the stakeholders in Trinidad and Tobago football. This is not about David John Williams. It's not about David John Williams' administration. I've seen people say things, not only on your program, but on several programs that can hurt the TTFA.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But they're not hurting David John Williams. You're hurting football. If the old people ever said, if you have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all.
Right.
Right? I am not saying don't criticize this administration. We need people to come together for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago football. Right? Whatever happened in the past has happened in the past. I am here to help the game. I've seen people being very critical of, well, boy, David John Williams is not Jack Warner because Infantino take him under his wings. But people should be happy that Infantino and FIFA showing an interest in Trinidad football after our history. You understand what I mean? And it's for the good of the game. And if we can be a sponge and suck up all the good things to help Trinidad and Tobago football, come on board. Have an open book. And I'm willing to come back here again. There's lots to talk about, Steve.
There is a lot to talk about. But before, we get into the end, but now that you've in hindsight, now that you sit back, things have happened. Is there anything that you've done that you regret that you wish you could take back?
Sometimes you don't really have regrets in life. When I look at the national team now under Dennis Lawrence and the passion that is assumed, maybe if I had appointed Dennis Lawrence for the first couple of games, it may have been different. But hindsight is 2020 vision. So I really have no regrets. I miss W Connection, of course. Sometimes, I miss the passion that I exude when W Connection is playing. But I have no regrets being TTFA president. It's a joy for me to work. Sometimes I have bad days, and you ask yourself, why are you doing it for? But that's the nature of life. But then like that, you snap out of it and you go deep into it. So really, I have no regrets. And I'm happy that I'm serving Trinidad and Tobago football. I'm happy that I can hope that I will make a difference. And when I leave office, the only thing I want people to remember is that I tried to make a difference. I could tell you one thing, and I'll promise you one thing, Steve, and I'll promise the public of Trinidad and Tobago. When David John Williams leaves office, football must be secured for life.
How you address the people who says David John Williams is trying to run Trinidad and Tobago football as
It's W Connection.
W Connected, like a club.
Well,
And this is association.
Steve, I had to pat myself on the back,
Yeah.
And let me tell you what I mean.
Right.
We have a board that is 13 strong. And if I can control a board that is 13 strong,
You're good.
I'm really good, right? And that's what people are missing. Previous administration has had 4 executive meetings in 4 years. We have had, in 17 months, 21. All attended by a full quorum. And people will say because I exude confidence, I talk very strong, I talk very passionate, I am loud. Some say I'm boisterous, but that's just the passion. And in the Caribbean, you see the president and nobody else. So I make no apologies, and they can say what they want. If I tell you opinions are like nose holes, everybody have one. If I change one word, I can't say it on the set. Opinions are like everybody has one. It makes a big difference. You figure out the word that I want to say.
Well, I had 4 guys: Narada Wilson, Larry Joseph,
Would have been Anthony.
Alvin Henderson,
No, Henderson.
Anthony Clark. Well, don't talk for Anthony, right? So you have your followers, and they're the ones who says, hey, you got to hear this guy because he is in this
For the long haul.
for the love, and he is in this for the right reason.
You know,
Would you? I will just touch there. Would you say that you're in it for it because you are a football man, whereas all our presidents before may have had interests elsewhere? Do you think because your life has revolved around football?
I tell you, football have a culture and a morality of its own. I wonder if you could give me an extra few minutes to say something. You know, when I watch Trinidad and Tobago football and I watch world football and I watch people criticize our football, Zagallo won a World Cup for Brazil in 1958 as a player. Coached Brazil to a World Cup in 1972. Was an assistant coach to Carlos Alberto in 1994.
Yeah.
If you tell a top coach in Trinidad and Tobago who coach a national team to go and assist a man like Dennis Lawrence, they wouldn't even think about that. But the great Brazil, they do these things
Right.
because the football first. And I use that analogy to tell people that this is about all of us. If football fails in Trinidad and Tobago, crime is going to rise. Football gives us an opportunity for the young people to gravitate to. It's still the cheapest game that is available to you. You could put on a sneakers, you could take a lime, you could take an old ball and still kick it. You could take some sticks and make a goal. Trinidad and Tobago has the talent, Steve. Let us all come together. Forget the politics. Forget David John Williams, whether you like him or not. If he's doing wrong, criticize him. take the good things. Let us work together for the good of the game.
All right, any parting words?
No, for me, I would just say thanks for taking the opportunity to clear the air, let people see the other side of David John Williams, and also for giving the information that I think the population needs, because I also believe because of today's century, we need to be given the information a bit more rapidly because it comes out instantly. And I appreciate your presence here today.
It's only, I mean, we covered 1 hour, and I feel like we can talk for another day.
Yeah. I'm happy to come back, Steve, as I said.
Right. So we probably would invite you back and so you can clear some more things with us. All right?
Sure.
Any parting words you want?
Again, thank you for coming on. I want to urge the Trinidad and Tobago public that we are still in the World Cup campaign, but this administration wants to secure the game for life. We are working on bottom up. We have now had our under 15 program boys running, under 17 boys, under 17 girls, under 20 girls senior program. It's the first time in a long time that we have all these programs going, and we are happy for that. We want to beg Trinidad and Tobago, corporate Trinidad and Tobago, to come in and support us because we need the money, like Max says.
Okay, great. Viewers, thank you for tuning us in. Thank Axe Television Network for giving us the opportunity to bring the show to our viewers. Thank you, Narada, for being here, buddy.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much, David, for coming on. Hope we can have you back and on occasion so you can let the public know or our viewers know what you're doing.
Always a pleasure.
And also we'll hold you to send in your coaches, men and women, right?
Yes, sure.
Appreciate that. Viewers, we do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. Drop us a line. We do have a Facebook page. You can check us out. The show is ended. Go in peace. I'll see you next Monday night. Good night.